thank you for taking some time to jump on with us. Robert Weichelt, I've had the immense pleasure of working with you and knowing you for a few years now. And, not only do you have a vast amount of experience in the real estate space, you're generational when it comes to real estate, which is super amazing. But even though you come from like that foundational old school approach to building a killer business, you're extremely forward thinking. And throughout any of the old school versus new school ways of approaching real estate, your energy is off the chain, man. And that's one of my favorite things about you. You're just a truly, genuinely joyous and enthusiastic person. So thanks for taking some time, man.
You're making me blush, brother.
So, hey, obviously, I mean, the reason we have you on here is because you crush. You are absolutely a dynamic listing agent, and you do it in a way that I think most people envy, and they don't even know is even possible. So, if you don't mind, Robert, I'd love to just kind of hear from you. How in the world are you selling not only the amount of real estate that you're selling in the time in which you're doing it, and with the freedom that you have just in terms of how you want to run your life? Because that's why we sell real estate, right? We want the life that we want to experience. And man, you're one of the best examples of actually doing that in real time.
Well, you know what? Thanks for having me on, Joseph and Cameron. I'll tell you, it's my career started when I was 10 years old, and hear me out. My mother's a real estate broker, got her license in 1976. I had two younger brothers. You mentioned the energy that I have. Well, I had it when I was young as well. And so when mom would take us to the babysitters, it was just too much for the babysitter to handle all three boys. So the babysitter would drop me off at my mother's real estate office, 10 years old, and she'd put me to work emptying trash cans, delivering MLS books. That's going
Wow.
blast in the past. Delivering termite reports and just going around to the agents and seeing what I could do for them if I wanted to run and go get lunch for them or whatever. So I got into the business at a very early age. And fast forward to 1986 when I actually got my first professional paycheck. So I've been in the real estate industry for quite some time. My mother still is, but she was one of the top REO brokers before really REO was even a thing. You know, the
Wow.
late 70s, early 80s with the bank repo market. Fast forward to the early 90s, the stay alive till 95 market, which my brother and I were very bullish on. We were helping a lot of corporate sellers arrive at the highest and best price. And so we cut our teeth on it pretty early. Jump forward a couple more years, Joseph, the market you were in, the REO market of 05, 6, 7, and then short sales. So we've got a lot of background on helping a lot of sellers. Corporate sellers, like traditional sellers, they all want one thing. They want the highest and best price, which means the highest price net to the seller.
Yep. True.
And so I'm the reason why I told you about my REO background is because we were introduced early to a lot of auction style processes. So when I was introduced to the online offers platform and the process back in 2018, it clicked for me because I'm so used to it. And I truly believe that the process of buyers competing is certainly the best way for the sellers to arrive at that highest and best price. But more importantly, the least amount of time. You don't want to get the highest price and it take forever because it's all about the net. So you have holding costs and there's different things that, expenses that keep going. So highest and best price, shortest amount of time, but the least amount of liability for our traditional clients as well as our corporate sellers. No hassles, hassle-free selling, no random showings. So we do a 2-day open house Saturday and Sunday, and then we allow the buyers to transparently compete, number one, so they can see all the offers. But a big thing now with the conversation with NAR and the settlement and the commission, conversation that we're having, we allow the buyers to pay for their own agent. And that's revolutionary because at the end of the day, guys, the buyers are the ones paying the commissions. They just don't know it until now.
Right.
And now they are fully transparent, provided transparently the offers and the commission. So it helps sellers, FSBOs, expireds, canceled, probate, divorce. It helps any seller because I've never heard, not one time in my 38-year career, hey, Robert, if you can get me the least amount of money for my home, I'd appreciate it. Not one time has that come up. And I've also never heard, Robert, if you can charge me as much money as possible. That doesn't come up either. So we've fine-tuned it to get them what they want, highest and best price, shortest amount of time. And in my opinion, the online offers process is the only way to go. So we've been employing this, not only my team, I coach, train, and mentor agents all over the country. So it doesn't matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter what market you're in. It works no matter where. And I always use this example, and it's pretty funny because I literally, I've closed listings in California to Florida and every state in between. And they all say, well, it doesn't work in my market. I can tell you this. I could literally go up in Jeff Russell's airplane, get blindfolded, and he can push me out and I'll land anywhere in the United States and I could take a listing today. And how I do it is I've leveraged Zoom. 2020, March of 2020, I have not literally stepped into a seller's home since March of 2020. Every single one of my listing appointments are all done via Zoom. It's efficient, it's effective, and in my opinion, the only way to go. I add a little bit of extra kink into that, Joseph, and you know that we're traveling, my wife Carla and I, and our dog Bodie, we're traveling the country in our RV all over the country. So how in the world, Robert, can you take listings when you're not in that market? It's all done via Zoom. I'm literally taking listings from my computer, from my RV at different locations. Every single week, we're in a different location across the country, and we're taking listings at a very high level. And what I want to do is I want to help my agents that I work with leverage the same kind of experience, because time is money. And I use Jeff Russell. He's in Los Angeles. The traffic there, and Joseph, up where you're at, the traffic is pretty unbearable. San Diego's the same way. So we need to come up with efficient ways to take as many listings as humanly possible. And I like to call it our unfair share of listings. We're taking more on than our fair share because of our systems and tools. So I'm grateful that you got a chance to, you and I got a chance to sit down and go over what it is we're doing to not only grow our personal business and my team, but help people in our organization, agents in our organization across the country. So that's what we've been doing. And I tell you what, it makes me giggle. I got to be honest. Being in real estate for so long, you're so tied into a geographical, you need to stick into your market. You can only work in your market. I say no. I say real estate is a very simple game. It's all about data, coming up with why that home's going to sell for what it's going to sell for, employing tools and processes that allow you to sell at a very high level. So I giggle when people say, oh, did you retire out of real estate? No, I took 2 listings this morning, matter of fact, all from the comfort of my RV.
Mm-hmm. And Robert, you know, just so everyone's super clear, you're not only taking listings, you're closing them.
Yeah.
You're getting them up and marketed. You're sticking to a really specific approach and timeline. And then again, the real beauty behind what you do is that it's a massive benefit to everyone involved, even the buyers who are spending the most amount of money. And here's what I love. Sellers have an opportunity to say, I can point to proof that I got top dollar for my home. Everyone talks about top dollar. What is this top dollar thing? You can point to it and say, look, I can show you every single movement in offers that are competing. That is in fact the most that the market will bear. There's the proof. The other fun part is that the buyers have the ability to finally be in the driver's seat. You know, so many buyers are sick and tired of, you know, throwing offers. It's like a black bag job, man. They're just, you know, hopefully something works. They're doing whatever they can to win, but they don't even know how to compete. Your system allows them to see exactly what's happening, and then it's up to the buyer how competitive they want to be.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is back in, you know, during the COVID time where buyers were multiple buyers, and we still have multiple buyers because the market is still where it is. Multiple buyers paying way too much for a property, had no idea how much more they paid. For example, here's the conversation that buyer agents are having with their buyers. Joseph, you've submitted your offer. Now we've received a seller counter asking for your highest and best. They don't give you a number. You're flipping a coin going, oh my God, I want this home. So oftentimes the buyers that are, you know, really want it, they've been outbid multiple times. are getting aggressive, what's happening is the buyer's getting a call from their agent. Hey, Joseph, congratulations, your offer got accepted. Two things go through that buyer's mind. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh my God, I overpaid. And
Yes.
buyer's remorse is a real thing.
Sure.
That's a real thing. We're offering transparent offers so they know for a fact they only paid what they absolutely had to pay. I like the transparency for the seller, sure, but I like the transparency it provides the buyers, the buyer agent, everybody in the transaction. So I wouldn't change a thing. It's phenomenal.
Love it. Yeah, it's it's crazy, Robert. I've just been like writing down a ton of questions as you've been talking, just because one, I find it absolutely amazing that you have a system in play that you're able to basically list property and you're basically like traveling the states doing it. And so yeah, and so so first question is like where are you like what when it comes to like attribution of these listings, like where are you getting a majority of these listings from? Like do you have a certain niche? Are you like, are you doing like expireds or like where are you getting the listings from?
I'd be happy to walk you through that. The first thing we need to do is we need to locate the lowest hanging fruit on the
Mm,
seller tree. Number
hmm
one, FISBO. They got their hand up. They need us.
Yeah.
They just don't know it yet.
mm,
Unlike all the other agents that are prospecting FISBOs, they all have the same message. Oh, I can do a drone, or I can stage your home. I can do all these things. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to get the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. That's what sellers want. It's all about the net. So I locate them. I personally, now there's lots of different sources, but I personally use My Plus Leads. I find it has the most opportunities available with FISBOs, expireds, canceleds, notice of default, notice of trustee sales. That is a phenomenal amount of opportunities that came in. 27 came in today, 46 were yesterday. Lots of low hanging fruit. FISBO, because they're telling the world they're looking to sell, you just need to have a different approach at conversation with the seller and show them how you're going to get the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. Number one, once they see what we're doing, it's just very difficult to use anyone else. Let me give you an example. This cracks me up. And I've been doing this for a couple of years. I'll meet with a seller. And I did this the other day. I'll meet with a seller and they'll see this and go, oh my God, this is fantastic. I've never seen this. Tell me more. Tell me more. Because that's once you drop the wall down, because at first every seller goes, I don't want to meet with you. I don't want to talk to you. You just want to sell my house like everyone else. Once they drop the wall and I have a conversation, they're like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And they said, well, I've interviewed with 4 other agents and I have one more tomorrow. I said, well, here's what I can do for you because I know that's uncomfortable. Give me the name and number of the 4 you've met with and the one you're going to meet with tomorrow. I'll
mm,
give them a call and I'll break the news that you've gone to an online offers platform that's revolutionary, that allows you to get the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. Let me do the heavy lifting.
mm.
I will contact them. At first, sellers like, oh my God, you would do that? Absolutely. Well, yeah, of course I would. I'm having a conversation with 5 agents in this case. Do you want to know more about how this scenario works? Let me show you what we're doing. They're intrigued. They want to know
Yeah,
more.
definitely.
I love agent
Yep.
attraction with that. It's the best. So
Mhm.
it's just a phenomenal way to run a business and it's very systematic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a very satisfying call to call them to say
It's pretty fun. It's fun.
that. Yeah. And so, yeah, so interesting. So like you mentioned you said it's called My Plus Leads.
I use My Plus Leads to locate FISBOs, and
Mm,
I get their MLS number. I'll get the DNA of the property, bedroom, bath, sales price, etc. I'll get
mm,
a lot of times I'll get the owners of record, 3, 4, 5 different phone numbers, and emails. A lot of times, sometimes you don't get any. Sometimes you get it all. It's okay. It's a numbers game. One
mm,
thing I've always said that real estate is a contact sport. Make as
mm,
many contacts as you can.
mm,
Don't dwell on what you. Oh, I don't have their email. Oh, I can't do this lead. Call them, text them, email. And
mm,
typically what I do to answer that is I'll I'll call them in the morning, and I have very, very killer scripts that I teach, coach and train my agents on. Bottom line, is the home available? It's a super simple question. Is it available? Yes or no? If it's not, then I'll thank you for your time. If it is, then I go to the next thing. If I was to bring you an offer, the price was acceptable, are you willing to pay the standard 3%? Most for sale by owners don't want to pay a commission. but most of them that I talk to are geared and ready and prepared to pay a buyer commission should they bring an offer that was acceptable. So that's all we're asking. But it doesn't matter if they say I don't want to pay a dime. I get for sale by owners all the time saying, I'm not paying any commissions. I don't like agents. You don't earn your money. I've heard it all. And I'm not paying a home warranty. Well, that's a little random and out of left field, but you know what? It's okay. There's no wrong answer. If they say they don't want to pay anything, no problem. We're helping sellers pay no commissions because at the end of the day, it's all a net to the seller. So we're taking listings. I look at it this way. We're taking 5, 10, 15, 20 listings extra a year on the listings that no one would ever think in a million years they were obtainable. So we're adding commission dollars to our agents.
Yeah. Do you have a certain I would say like they call it like a cadence for getting in contact with these for sale by owner? Because you said call, text, email. Like, so what happens like when you call somebody and they don't pick up the first time? Do you have like a sequence of events that happens afterwards to follow up with them?
Absolutely. Here's what it is. First, I'll find them on My Plus Leads. That's where I go. Then I have my scripts. Then what I do is I call. I always call first because you're going to get a seller that only likes to have a phone call. The ones that don't like phone calls, you're going to get their voicemail. Here's my voicemail. Hi, this is Robert calling about your property at 123 Main Street. Could you let me know if it's still available? I have some questions for you about your property. You know, I'm not typically telling them, hey, I'm a listing agent. I want to list your home because they're guaranteed not calling you. I just need to know information about your home because if it's available, they're going to call me back or text me back. I find that when I call, a very high percentage of them don't answer their phone. As soon as I hang up, I go to my most recents in my phone and I'll text them the same exact message. Hi, this is Robert inquiring about your property at 123 Main Street. Is it still available? I'd love to know more information. That's simple. I find that they don't answer their phone, but as soon as I text them, they get back to me right away. And that's okay. I don't care. Some people don't want to answer the phone. And it's surprising to me that why FSBOs, for sale by owners, the private seller, why in the world are they not answering their phone? If somebody's calling it about your property, you want to at least answer your phone. But I find that there's so many people calling them. I understand they're screening their calls. I find that I call them in the morning. I pull up my list first thing in the morning. I call my FSBOs expired, my notice of defaults, my notice of trustee. I call them first, leave a voicemail if they don't answer, then I immediately text them the same response. I do that in the morning, and the ones that did not respond, I send them the same question. I don't send them anything else other than the question that is yet to be answered. Once that's answered, then I'll go to the next question. If I was to bring you an offer at a price that was acceptable, are you willing to pay the standard 3%? Now, remember, if I was to bring you an offer at a price that was acceptable, that's a rhetorical question. And they always end up, well, if it's the right price, I said, that's if it checks all your boxes, are you willing to pay the standard 3%? They don't know what the standard is. They think they do, but they heard it at a barbecue. They heard it at, you know, wherever, somebody from work or Little League have told them, oh yeah, the standard's this, but they don't know what the standard is. So I'm guiding them to where I'd like to go. Like I said, it doesn't matter if they say 3, 2, 0, don't matter. Because you know what my response to that is? They're willing to pay something, great, don't matter. When can we schedule a quick Zoom call to get to know your property in more detail? And if they press on that, well, what do you want to talk about? I said, well, I have a way to drive multiple buyers to your property, but I need a little more information first. I want to send the right buyers to your home. I don't want to waste anyone's time. Why do you want to do a Zoom? I find that Zoom is the most efficient and effective way to do it. And I get thank yous all the time from sellers. Wow, this was really appreciated. It was a 20-minute Zoom call versus the 4 other appointments that took an hour plus each. And they felt like all they were doing is talking about themselves, how great they were, not about my only goal is your goal. And that's to sell for the highest and best price shortest amount of time. So recap, I call, text, email in the morning. I call, text, and email in the afternoon, the same people if they've not responded. If they have responded, I move right to the when can we schedule a Zoom. If they've not responded by the afternoon, I reach out to them again that evening and I do one more attempt. They get 4 opportunities to work with me. If they don't get back to me the 4th time, then I put them in my CRM and I move on. I don't chase them. I don't track them down. I am looking, I'm panning for motivated, realistic rock and roll sellers.
Yeah.
So that's the cadence. That's what I do. That's all I do. I don't do anything else.
Yeah. I love it. So, okay. So perfect. So yeah. So you go through that cadence. What is like, if you can, like, is there a certain amount of appointments that you're aiming for every single week, or like how many of these Zoom calls are you doing on a weekly basis?
You know what? I'm doing anywhere between 5 and 7 Zoom calls a week. I'm taking anywhere between 2 and 3 listings of those. I'll meet with anyone, but it depends. We have 2 options for the seller. It's a 3 to 5 minute Zoom, or it's a 20 to 30 minute Zoom. The 20 to 30 minute Zoom means we're getting the listing. The 3 to 5 minutes means I basically have decided that we're not working together. I'll certainly send you some information for you to chew on, but basically this call is over and I cut it pretty quick. I don't, if they're unrealistic, for example, I had one the other day, they were digging their heels in at $1 million. Their home, because I know the market, their home is worth 800 at the most.
Wow.
Difficult seller to work with, because most agents, and the reason why there's so many expireds, most agents will take a listing and hopefully reduce that price down to eventually where it'll sell. That's a terrible strategy.
It is.
I sell my homes in 14 days. That doesn't work for me. And I'm not trying to be funny or cute about it, but I just don't have a lot of time to work with sellers that are unrealistic, that are way too ambitious with their sales price goals. I've unfortunately turned away more listings in the last 6 to 8 months than I've probably taken in my long 38-year career, because I've made a conscious decision to not take overpriced listings and work with unrealistic sellers. I just won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That mentality, Robert, is oddly said, like that mentality is one of the best marketing strategies. Like I feel like a lot of individuals, I know this just for myself, this is why I'm saying this. It's just because like I've always looked for people to try to convince to do something. And it's like rather than just going to the people that want to do that thing. And so yeah, and so like I love how you say that, you're not, you want to work with the people who are actually motivated to make a move. And I think one of the big issues that real estate agents run into is they're talking to unmotivated people. And so, yeah. And so it's kind of like they're selling against themselves. Like it's so hard to try to get someone motivated to do something. It's harder when, when there is no motivation there to begin with.
I'm not in the convincing business. I'm in the conveying a powerful message business. And I'm not going to try to change your mind. If you're completely unrealistic, hey, that's great. When you become realistic, I'm available for you, but not until then.
Yeah.
And
the home must qualify.
And when you take a listing, run it through this process, and you're delivering on, these really high expectations, right? Highest amount that we can point to, 14 days, all of those things that you're setting a pretty high standard for yourself, and then you're exceeding them, at minimum meeting them, but usually exceeding them. I would imagine it's pretty easy to get repeat and referral business from those people.
I get a lot of referrals from those happy folks, great testimonials and amazing results. Joseph, let me just tell you a funny story real quick. I was calling for sale by owners the other day. And it was, it come to find out she was an agent, but I didn't know because I don't care. Because last year, and I thought for sure if they're an agent, just let's move on. I said, wait a second. No, I think an agent's going to understand this better than anybody. So last year, I met with the seller. He's a Remax agent, and he was a fix and flip guy. And I didn't know he's an agent until after I went through my presentation, because it doesn't matter to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
And he goes, wait a second, I'm an agent with Remax. I said, oh, okay. Well, then you of all people get what I'm saying. He goes, yes, I have a property. I want you to list it using this platform. And he was a little skeptical at first, because I could do it myself. Why do I need? We ended up selling 5 more listings for him that same year. I just got off the phone with an agent that I was telling you about the other day. She's an agent, and now she's actually thinking of coming over to join our organization, bringing her whole team, and we're listing her property. I mean, I'm like, wait a second, that's unheard of. So it's, I just think that it cracks me up. I got agents sending me.
Yeah, that's wild. Like that alone is extremely crazy. Buyers and sellers out there, well, sellers in particular. This is the guy that agents hire. Okay, like that should say enough.
I didn't.
But the point I was even gonna drive home was, if you take listings that are overpriced with the idea in mind that I'm going to just go into the wrestling ring and wrestle this seller to lower their price till it sells, I don't think you're going to get that same level of enthusiasm around sending you repeat and referral business versus your approach. So there's so many reasons why it makes sense that you filter through who you want to work with. And I think it's really powerful for your business.
I think that it's important that we get sellers that are motivated. I'm not saying motivated like I'm desperate. That's two different things.
Yeah.
Desperate,
Yeah.
it's one thing, but motivated is being realistic with your sales price goals. Can I get you more for your home than anyone else? Absolutely. Your best option is with me. But if they're motivated and realistic and not too ambitious with their sales price goals, that's a perfect seller for me. And I'll work with them and I'll do everything I can to package something up that meets their needs. But if they come out of the chute with, I want $1 million and it's worth 800, I've actually had sellers tell me that. I said, can you tell me how you think you're going to get $1 million when it's clearly worth 800? Oh, I don't care. If I get that price, then I'll sell. I'm not working with that guy.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I have those cold calls. So I get cold calls all the time about the property I live in, and what's called. They always say like, "Oh, we're trying to buy property in the area." And sometimes, like, when I have time, I just answer the phone, and when I hear that, I'm like, "All right, cool. I want $1 million for it." I'm in like a $500,000 neighborhood, and I'm like, "I want $1 million for it." And it's funny because then they continue the conversation. I'm like, "Geez, dude." Like, but so sorry. So you said that you do 2 Zoom calls. You do that initial Zoom call, and then you do then the actual like listing presentation Zoom call, or
Let me walk you through it.
yeah.
I go to My Plus Leads. I'll identify the FSBA, let's say. I reach out to him. Hi, this is Robert calling about your property at 123 Main Street. Is it still available? I get them on the phone. If I don't get them on the phone, I will text them the same thing. When they say, yes, it's available, great. If I was to bring you an offer, the price was acceptable. This is initial calling, texting, emailing right now, reaching out to prospects. Once they say, yes, let's schedule a Zoom, fantastic. And I'll get their information. We'll schedule the Zoom and I'll go to my calendar and see what I have available. I don't ask the sellers, when are you available? That if they pick a time that I'm not available, then we've already having some friction. I have some time today at 5, or is 5:30 better for you? Oh, you know what? I can't do 5 or 5:30. I get off at 6. Do you have a 6:30? You know what? I can move some things around to accommodate that. Absolutely. I will take the calendar appointment right there on the spot, and then a link will go out with our Zoom meeting. And basically I prepare my listing presentation much like you would if you're going into a home, only mine's done on Zoom. I'll have the Zillow link pulled up. I'll have my online offers platform with success stories that match their property. Last thing you want to do is show someone success on $1 million home when their home is 500. I get samples that they can relate to. Because here's what they say. Oh, that works for the $1 million homes. That wouldn't work for us. And vice versa. If I'm showing $1 million seller a $500,000 example, oh, that works for them, not us. Okay, so here's an example that looks like yours. That's the first thing I do. Then I have a presentation that I've put together that walks them through every single bullet point. I'm answering questions that I know they're going to have before they ask it. So I'm walking them through the process, a kind of a peek behind the curtain, if you will. This is what we're doing to get the sellers the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. And I walk them through that process. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. And that's why it's so easy for me to go to sellers and say, give me the names of the agents that you were met with or thinking of meeting with, and I will call and break the bad news to them. Because I feel confident this is the best way to sell the home, period. No competition.
Yeah, I love it. All right, cool. So say they're game, like say they're like, yeah, that I like, man, this is amazing. Compared to the other agents, you're just blowing them out of the water. Like my biggest question is like, how do you, and I feel like I'm like playing devil's advocate here, but it's like, how do you value a home that you haven't been in before? Like, how do you determine the list price for that home?
Well, here's what I do is I go through the home with the property. I look at Zillow, I look at their photos, I pull the comps, I run the market. I've done BPOs for Fannie, Freddie, and every single bank in the planet. I know how to price properties. That's the number one thing agents need to do before you do anything. Learn how to price a home. It doesn't matter where it is. Pricing a home is not hard. Pull the comps, 3 solds, 3 actives, 3 pendings, and really come up with a number and have those numbers and back those numbers up and show your seller on the phone. If you want $1 million, I've got comps in 800. Am I missing some comps that are in that am I missing anything? No. So I can evaluate properties anywhere.
Yeah.
That's a piece of cake.
Love it. Yeah, love it. And then I'm assuming that like once you guys come to a price, you explain the online offers program, and their game, is your process still like, hey, I'm going to DocuSign over the listing agreement to you, or like what's after the, hey, let's do this?
Sure. So let me walk you through it. First, I make the
Mm-hmm.
calls, then I schedule the appointment, then I do the excuse me, I do the Zoom listing appointment
Mm-hmm.
where I show them the Zillow, I show them the success, I have my presentation, and then I have a simple question. When are you ready to get started? Do these dates, my close, do these open house dates work for you? They do. Fantastic. You ready to get started now? In order to make this happen, we need to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, what I'm going to do is I like to send the listing agreement. I call it a marketing agreement. I send the marketing agreement over to the seller. They review it. I want to make sure I'm answering any and all questions. Everything checks out, then I'll send them the Zoom. Very few times have I done the Zoom and sent the listing agreement on the Zoom. It's always, this is what I've done. I'm going to send you a recap of everything we just talked about, as well as the marketing agreement. Take a look, get back to me with any questions. At that time, you've approved it, then we'll get started. I'll send them the DocuSign. And then usually that day or the first thing in the morning, the next day is when I get the listing agreement signed.
Mm. Interesting. And so now, since you're not there, and obviously, well, do you take photos? Like, you have a photographer, or like, do you have a team on the ground that then goes to that location to do everything necessary to get it ready to start the, I want to say like the marketing process?
My marketing process is pretty simple. You're going to kind of laugh at how cheap I sound. I don't like to spend money. I don't think you need to. Most cases, the FSBOs and expireds, for example, they have really wonderful photos that they've been using for themselves. I don't use a bunch of photos. I use 5 or 6 really killer photos. I call them brag photos.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to give me one of the house, one of the backyard, and 3 or 4 brag photos inside the home, and that's it. Now I have, because I get sellers out there that want a professional photo shoot, and that's great. It all depends, but I don't offer that immediately. I've done it a couple times, and I use those obviously for repurposing for other stuff, but you don't need that many photos. I don't want that many photos because I want as much traffic into the open house as possible.
Yes.
Only time I do professional photos when somebody's digging their heels in, and I'm not going to argue over $250. Not going to happen. But I typically have 1 photo outside, one on the front, 1 on the back, 3 or 4 brag photos, and then that's it. I don't want to give the buyers too much information. I need them to be at the open house. They serve a purpose.
Yes.
I want everybody. I want it to be the biggest party that anyone's ever had. I want people that have no business, no interest in buying real estate. I want them there too. So first things first, drive traffic.
Yes, it reminds me of launching new movies where those brag photos are your trailer.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, we're about to drop this movie, this time, summertime is going to be the movie. We're going to break box office records and all that good stuff. And so we have this award-winning, actress. We have this, what's it called? Award-winning whoever. And you got to come to the premiere.
And
so like your premieres.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pique their interest, don't answer all their questions.
Yeah. And so then that makes me curious. You mentioned open house again, like if you're not there, or do you now have to drive from wherever you're at and do an open house, or how does that open houses work with you?
You know what? This may sound like a smart ass question, but who comes to open houses mostly? What's the largest percentage of people that come to the open house?
Buyers.
Yeah.
Buyers is correct answer. Why would a listing agent be there when buyer agents need to be there? So what I do is I have sellers say, well, will you be here? No, my business model works this way. I'm the listing agent. I have my buyer specialist hold the open house because the buyers are the ones that are coming. They need specialty help walking through the process, walking through the buying process. So I do not go to these listings. I do not go to the open houses. I have buyer agents that hold those open houses.
Amazing. I was going to ask, one of my questions was if they have to find another home to buy, how do you do that when you're not there and it's the buyer specialist? I'm
Well, let
assuming.
me give you an example. I have a pretty amazing team that they're always, hey, got any more listings? Got any more listings? So I have my go-to. They're getting better. They're getting better because the hardest part, Joseph, you can kind of attest to this. When you're a listing agent, getting quality buyer agents to be consistent and actually convert, because only one person gets that home. You want to be able to train the buyer agents how to convert and switch them to another property that may be in the neighborhood, or they may decide to buy in another, doesn't matter. You need to have agents that know how to convert. Number one, sell the home that we're talking about, but only one person gets that. You need to have somebody that's strong to convert them to something else. For an example, we had an open house a couple of weeks ago on a million-plus home. Oh man, we had like 9,500 views. It was ridiculous in 14 days only. That's a big number. She Buyer came to her. She built the relationship. She, did the whole thing. They placed an offer on the home. It was a little higher than what they were looking to spend. And so what she did, excuse me, she listed their home and represented them on another 1.1 listing, 1.3 purchase. That's the kind of traffic we're driving. So if you get 400, 500, 600 groups through the door, you're going to get some buyer business. It's not very hard to get buyer agents for my properties.
Yeah, especially when you mentioned you're listing the home 15% below market value. Can you talk to like why that's so effective?
Sure, absolutely. If you look at any listing out there, they all list their property either a little bit over market, excuse me, guys, a little bit over market or just a little bit at market. You're going to attract less buyers that way. But when you price it 15% below, studies have shown you're going to get massive traffic to your property. Here's the way I look at it. An open house is the number one goal is to drive as many people to that property, period.
Yep.
You've got 100% of the people there. 80% of those may not have any interest in paying more than what that list price is. Some of them may not even looking for real estate. I don't care. But those 80%, like a movie, those are extras. The 20% that look over there and go, oh my God, everybody wants what I do. Oh, FOMO sets in. And so it motivates the 20% that absolutely must have that home. And hey, these people may not be able to qualify for this home where it's going to end up, but look at the opportunity to build your buyer database. So there's a lot of reasons why we price it the way we do. And that's all I have to do. I do nothing fancy. I price it 15% below. It automatically populates through our IDX feed all over the planet. And we do some door knocking and some social media, but that's it. We're driving massive traffic and converting that traffic. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
Cameron, think
amazing.
about this. Like that Robert's formula is the trifecta. Intrigue, right? His process is intriguing. Not a ton of photos, only a limited time to go and see that house. Like there's and the way it's priced, it's creating a ton of intrigue. Scarcity on top of that, right? I can't go see it whenever I want to. I have to go at this time, and then that's it. And then the final, which is really the knockout punch, competition, because he's fostering that environment. Robert, you said something I want to make sure people hear. How many people threw an open house over a weekend?
Well, I've had as little as 200, and I've certainly disappointed on that. But I averaged anywhere between 400 and 500 groups, not people, groups. We've had team members that have had 1,200 plus, 800 plus. These are groups to an open house, not people. And when I do training all over the country on this process, and when I go around the room and ask them, what's the most amount of people you've had in your open house? 15, 20. I've heard of 40 like one time. And then when I show them photos of a line of people around the block, they're like, whoa, because they need to see it. If I tell them, he's a sales guy, he's inflating the numbers. You got to show them with social proof. And it is ridiculous. It is so much fun. Joseph, you've been a part of it as well, and you've seen how it works in lifetime.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's really awesome is like, I always like to share this with my sellers. Marketing is supposed to do one thing and one thing only, and that's get people to walk through the front door, because we know people shop online, but they decide to buy when they're standing in your kitchen, they're standing at the pool, at the backyard. They're standing on the deck overlooking your view. Whatever those special characteristics are about your home, they are in that moment, in that experience. That's when they decide to buy. Not online, they start shopping there. So what Robert does is he goes, okay, here's what we're going to do with my marketing approach. We need to get you a bigger door because I'm going to shove 500, 800 people through here in one weekend. That is everything that marketing is designed to do. Then the property with its characteristics, features creates that decision and that scarcity and competition all at once. So
Absolutely.
it's powerful.
People do make a decision based on a couple of things, and it's an emotional usually. Number one, they've been looking for a while. They're committed. They want to buy a home, but they haven't been able to. They look around at everybody at the open house going, oh my goodness. So we're going to get the highest and best price for sure. But the transparency of the offers, we're answering a lot of questions that we're taking a lot of anxiety because they don't know where to go. If they want the home, they don't know what their competition's doing. Now they see exactly what the competition is doing. So start to finish there's no better way to sell a home, period.
Yeah. Have you had like, so you said you've had like, thousands of groups come into an open house. What has been your like highest above list price that you've sold a home for? Like how much more have you gotten for a home with that
Well,
strategy?
I listed one for 1.1, ended up on 1330.
Damn, that's nuts.
But that happens. You got to remember, we're starting 15% below.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is I look at it, I track and measure what I'm getting more than what their goal was. So the seller that I just gave you that 1-1 start with a 130 end up price, his expectations were 1.25. And we both agreed that that was fairly ambitious. But I felt very confident in this platform, in this process, the way we do things. I'm confident in getting them the highest and best price. The seller wanted 125, which we thought was a little just to begin with. Once I explained the process, he goes, well, no, I think we can get 1.3 now. Let's change our goal. Let's move the goalpost. And I felt so confident. I said, let's do it. That's where we got the 1-1 start price. We ended up getting in 1305. But then what I did is I took all the transparent offers because they all see it. And I reached out to the top 5 bidders, said, give us your highest, best, and final. Here are the terms and conditions for the seller that they're looking for. You have till tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. Go. The RPAs came in, very clean offers, and we ended up getting them another $25,000 just because of the transparency. So instead of landing on a 1305, we got a 1330, which was our sellers are stoked. And it's so it's
I mean, Robert, think about that. I mean, that's where you can have proof of concept. Like you actually don't come at a cost.
No,
you pay for yourself and then some.
I basically I tell sellers that they have 14 days, and if we don't get them the price, they owe us nothing. FSBOs like it because it's not a long-term commitment. Expireds love it because they just got out of a 6-month relationship that didn't work. You give me 14 days, I'll get you the highest and best price guaranteed. And if I don't, you owe us nothing. You can fire us on the spot. Put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And what you mentioned a lot there that was really powerful because a lot of people would look at this and go, oh, is this some kind of like auction? And it's like, no, this is just a different way to collect offers, which is brilliant. It feels like it has the transparency of it.
Yeah.
But like Robert said, there's so many ways that he's learned how to navigate with this thing where it's like, okay, you want to squeeze that juice a little harder. Here's how we can approach it because it's not an auction. You're not stuck with whatever was offered. It's like any other offer. Someone sends you an offer, you can accept, reject, counter, do whatever you want. And Robert keeps it that same way, really simple.
Yeah, I just look at all the opportunities to do what my fiduciary responsibility is, and that's get them the highest and best price. That's one of the many fiduciaries to a seller, and that's what the seller wants. And I'm showing them ways, not only the transparent, getting them to an end point, but squeezing as much juice with the system and getting, in this case, another 25 grand for my sellers. I mean, it's amazing. The sellers are getting way more than they ever dreamed of. Everyone I work with, and I won't take a listing that says they want $1 million and it's worth 8 because then still I'm still overpriced even at my lower price. So it just doesn't make sense.
So Robert, this is like revolutionary, and it really was ahead of its time, especially with the changes that we're seeing in the industry. So you have nothing to change. Like, you've already created that change for yourself. And then, oh, go figure, the whole world is going to like be overhauled overnight in real estate. And yet you're perfectly positioned for this. So business as usual for you.
You know what? I've not changed a thing.
Yeah, which is powerful.
It's like the we were built for this, and now this will be the platform. The process of selling homes moving forward, with all the NAR commission conversations, we're handling a lot of those questions. We're offering transparent offers, which we're not governed to do that, but I think it's a great way that when buyers compete, because buyers are inherently competitive. Let's be honest.
Sure.
If we let those buyers compete for a property, everybody wins. The buyers win because they know they didn't overpay. The sellers win because they're going to get the highest price guaranteed. And we know what the market value is. But because of the commission conversation, we're offering transparent commissions. So the buyers know exactly how the commissions affect the final sales price. So we're ahead of it. I mean, I've taken a lot of arrows the last few years. This online stuff, what's this, all this, because they didn't understand it. So it's easier to discount it than understand it.
Yeah.
But being as patient as, like in an REO days, you got buyers agents calling you with some pretty amazing questions and pretty ridiculous on top of it. So we need to be as patient as we can, explain it. Joseph, I know you've not done this before. Let me walk you through it. I'm creating a raving fan in Joseph the agent. Joseph the agents go, wait a second, now I understand it. And I find the agents that take just a little bit of time to understand it have the best luck with it. It's the ones that, I'm just going to submit an offer the old fashioned way.
Right.
Do that, but it's not going to give you the benefit of the whole process. But it's my favorite part of this process is talking to agents. On number one, I want to let them know and explain to them how this platform this works and how the features and benefits are really powerful for their buyers and for themselves. So I explain it that way first because I'm interested in selling the home at hand. However, not everybody can get the home, so I'm reaching out to the agents that didn't get it. Hey, thank you so much for submitting your offer. The seller has accepted an offer. Don't go too far because you know how these things can go. And I keep all the top 5 bidders sticky with the transaction. Following up, are your buyers, what's going on with your buyers and anything what's going on, especially if I get any kind of rub. If a buyer comes back to me and asks for repairs, they know for a fact that they just outbeat somebody by a hair. And I'll say, are you sure you want to ask for repairs? Because I got backup number 2 ready to pull the trigger. So I've got them all set and ready to go. So I'm saving my sellers a lot more money that they don't realize because we're not doing requests for repairs. This is not happening. It's an as-is sale. And if you want to ask for repairs, I'll go to the next offer, not a problem. Oh yeah, you know what? Never mind. Let's not do those repairs. That's what I thought. So it's a bigger picture for our sellers than most people realize. But the agents that come to the property, I'm conveniently, I'm very accommodating in explaining the process. And then I'm walking them through because I want them to understand it, because I want their offers. And if they understand it, I'm going to get offers. But if it goes under contract, I reach out to them. Number one, don't go too far with your buyer because you know how these things can go. But number two, would you like to set up a one-on-one? I can show you exactly how we're taking more listings. And I always like to call it our unfair share of listings. I mean, I'm taking more than probably the average agent. So I want to make sure that I'm always attracting quality, awesome agents. If an agent comes to the open house and she's saying, oh my God, this is so great, I really don't understand it, but I'm super excited for the transparent offers. And I'll walk her through it. Exciting. I'm so excited. I can't wait to walk you through this. Then I'll have some agents that come in hot. And I know which agents I want to attract, just like sellers. If they're unrealistic and not easy to work with, same thing with agents. I get my pick of the litter. They're all coming to me. And there's so many opportunities with this platform.
So Robert, so you obviously are learning, well, you have already developed a system and approach, and really you are dedicated to helping others scale their business to that same level of production you're at. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing there. because that's pretty exciting for people to not only see that it works, hear your scripting, but you're willing to pour into people to make sure you're not just throwing a bone, you're grabbing them by the hand and saying, let's go run to this success together.
When I first started doing this, I really didn't know. I mean, it was my wife and I and our lender and one of my assistants. We didn't know what to expect. I mean, it was bananas. We had people, it felt like they were parachuting out of the sky. It's like, where all these people come from? So we found out a long time ago, yeah, that we're onto something here. And so like I started doing really early is following up with the agents to keep them sticky. Then I started following up with the agents after it went into contract, let them know, thank you so much for your offer. I'd love to invite you to a lunch and learn that I'm doing this weekend down in Mission Valley or whatever. And I'd invite them. And I had a lot of agents say, wow, we want to know about this. But not everybody can get their head around it. So they need some guidance. I've been fortunate enough to be exposed to this process many years ago. So it wasn't a big shift in my business. It was just something I gravitated to real quick. And what I started doing is teaching my team how to take listings at a high level, how to prospect, who to prospect, because most people prospect the wrong people. So who to prospect, that's the lowest hanging fruit on the tree. FSBO expired, notice of default, notice of trust deed. So I started training my agents on how to go out and get listings. And a lot of them started saying, well, God, Robert, I don't know what to say. I'm a little comfortable. Let me show you how to prospect first. Baby steps, right? Prospect and then get them on a Zoom call with me and we'll do it together. We'll partner together. That's why I formed Partner Plus. So I'd have agents say, Robert, can I bring you in? We'll split the transaction and you do the listing presentation and then I'll handle the open house and we split our role. And I started doing that for my team. Well, then I started having agents from all over the country call me up and say, hey, I heard that you know what you're doing. I'd love to partner with you. I said, absolutely. So that's where Partner Plus was born. So I'm helping agents with their first 3 transactions, showing them how to prospect, how to set up the Zoom listing appointments. I basically take 90% of the conversation, the first 2, and then I say, agent, the third one's yours. I want to make sure you're ready. And some people say, I'm ready. They do it. They do a great job. And then they move on and I'm a resource for them moving forward. But I have multiple agents on my team that have closed 15, 20 transactions. And the mentorship that I do is only for the first 3, but they like our partnership. So I have agents that want to go for the first 3, and I have agents that just like what we have. So it's what I'm teaching agents to do is, number 1, take more listings. Number 2 is how to help them grow their organization, because they now have a tool that they can reach out to other agents that want to grow their business. And so it's scalable big time. And it's helping agents be efficient and effective with their business. Because I think that if you target listings, the buyers, investors, and agents will come. But if you prospect buyers, well, that's great. Now you're driving around all over city writing multiple offers, and I could do 5 listings the amount of time it takes you to do 1 buyer. So
I would even say this, like if you're an agent who really loves working with buyers, like that's your role in this industry, you want to stick to it. I think it'd be really advantageous then to be with one of either Robert or one of the agents that are operating this exact process, because now you get to be face to face with those buyers at an open house where they're hungry, they're engaged, and they want to talk to you because they too are in love with that property and want to figure out how to navigate this thing successfully.
Yeah.
So, even if it's an agent who's like, hey, I don't want to deal with listings, I want to work on buyers or what have you. That's a great way. And then I'm sure some of the best agents to implement this and replicate what you've done in terms of success were the same agents who were working with those buyers initially, because they get it. And they're like, okay, now it's time for me to grow and scale.
There's 3 types of agents. There's the buyer agent that we referred to a moment ago. They're just, fully focused on going after the buyers. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Some people just love that stuff. They love going around seeing properties and writing multiple contracts, and that they get that. Then there's the hybrid agent that wants listings and buyers because they have a license. They're not going to discriminate. They'll work with anyone, and I'm cool with that too.
Yep.
I personally have taken the stance I only work with listings and I refer all my buyers out. I do not represent buyers on my listings ever. I just don't do it. It's not what I do. I personally, and I don't, I'm not discounting people that do that, but I just don't, because I want the transparency to be fully fluid. I don't want to give the impression to anyone that I'm, that guy that's going to, run the offers. And then all of a sudden I'm the one that's also representing the buyer. I just don't. I refer to my buyer agents, and I find that the hybrid agent is the perfect agent for this platform, this process, because they're like, oh, I like listings so much better because I could take 5 listings to every buyer. They start doing the math in their head, and they're the agents that, oh my God, I can't wait to be introducing to this to them. So that's my biggest audience, transitioning to a listing agent.
Yeah. I love
Powerful,
it.
man.
Yeah, that's I think so I'm of the belief, Robert, the more and more I learn and more I, network with individuals like yourself, I start to realize that the I want to say either the brokers or the real estate agents that are within cloud brokerages that are in this like recruiting role and bringing in real estate agents, the best types of brokers and agents to do that actually have I call it like a business in a box for the agent to use and then implement right away to start transacting. And so like, because I was like,
100%. Yep.
yeah, I was like, recruiting agents must be too easy for you because your business in the box is spitting out what they want. And
Okay.
so, and then they have to go through your training in order to know how to use that business in a box to start getting the transactions that you're getting. And so, yeah, because it's super simple. Like, dude, like, sorry, my marketing brain is like churning. But yeah, like, because I was saying, like, you get having that many people into an open house, that's enough to just reach out to agents in the area and just be like, hey, I need more agents to run my open houses. On average, I get 300 people through my open houses. And so in this area, here's my pocket. I need 3 agents on my team next week. And you're probably going to have an inbox full of agents that are like, yeah, me, I'll do it, because you're solving the problem that they don't know how to solve, which is traffic to open houses, and ultimately leads that they're going to end up turning into appointments for themselves. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah. And so like, and even on the listing side, if you're taking those, I'm sorry, you said that you were doing 5 to 7 Zoom calls a week, which then turn into 2 to 3 listings.
Correct.
Yeah, that's Jesus. Even on even on the listing side, like I think a listing, I wouldn't say like, yes, a seller who has the high intent of listing their home sooner than later is the pinnacle of a lead for in the real estate industry. And so it's what every single real estate agent wants. And so like you could easily even remove yourself from that and be like, hey, talking to your consumer, I have a listing specialist. But then even if you didn't, you could still, call real estate agents, or that your list of real estate agents that you get from sending offers to you, and just be like, hey, I have an overwhelming amount of listings in this area. I'm looking to build my team and I'm
Hmm.
passing you listings. That's it. But you got to go through my training. My training is like, I'm going to train you on how to take these listings, how you're going to hold the open houses. If you want the buyers too, we could talk about that as well. Like, dude, recruiting must be too easy for you.
Well, most of the agents in my organization, my personal organization, are from those exact efforts, doing
Hmm.
open houses, talking to the agents. I love doing the open houses, just so we're clear. I
Hmm.
love being there. It's not the most efficient use of my time, but I love it and I have so much fun. And when I have new buyer agents, I'll show up to the open house in the beginning, show them exactly how to do it live time. And then it's so amazing watching that light bulb go off for my buyer agents, but it's also really cool to see the agents that are bringing their buyers to the open house, their light bulb goes on, because the buyers, when I'm explaining it to the agent with their buyer right there, explaining the transparency, explaining the process, explaining what we're doing, and the buyer's like, yeah, I'm in, and the buyers are going, oh, I guess I better be in too. So they're going to change their mindset, and the ones that like really want to know more, those are the agents that I've introduced to our platform and our process that have joined my team through the lunch and learns and through the actual open house. That's my mainstream of growing my business.
Yeah. How many agents do you have on your team that actually like help you with the listings and the buyers
I
open
have
houses?
20 on my personal team that
Yeah.
work my open houses, and because not everybody can do it every single weekend, so I have, and it's
Sure.
also I personally prospect Los Angeles down, so
Mm.
I have agents scattered throughout Southern California but I also coach, train, and mentor agents in, I think, 38 different states.
Wow.
I just talked to somebody yesterday from New Mexico, Colorado the other day. I just closed some in Massachusetts and Florida. And so it's awesome to be able to be a resource. And so it's not just limited to my team. It's I've got no boundaries.
Yep.
I can help everyone.
Yep, 100%. Like you said, you could fall out of plane tomorrow and land wherever in the US, and to be honest, any country that speaks English and has real estate. And
Yeah.
so unless you speak other languages.
Yeah.
And
Yes. So
so yeah,
that's what I have on that's what I have on my personal Robert Weichelt open house list. And then I have probably just over 30 that are outside of my personal team
Mhm.
that I'm coaching, training, and mentoring, and then have all their agents. So it's we're touching a lot of agents, helping a lot of agents out,
Mhm.
helping sellers get that highest and best price. Period.
Amazing. Yeah. That's what I love what you're doing, because like at the end of the day, what you're doing is impacting the consumers in a very positive way. You know, it's so simple, but you've obviously went through the trial and error to get to a point where you can achieve that one simple goal for the seller, which is getting the most amount net for your home in the fastest amount of time.
Yep.
And it's like, it's really that simple. That's it's like you've created a system in order to do that for them. And then what follows suit is now it's like, I'm now teaching other agents to do this, which means that that just compounds the number of sellers that then you are helping by helping agents do this for them. Man, it's amazing. That's amazing.
You know, and that's where the magic happens. Sure, taking listings as a listing agent, I love that part. Don't get me wrong. My wife will sit sometimes right next to me while I'm taking these listings, and I'll always ask her opinion of after, and I record the listings, and I always try to work on it. But it's just cool that when an agent that I'm either talking to about coming over to the organization, or an agent that just came over, when you see the light bulb go off and watching them get it, and now they can too go out and do it at a high level. But I want to make sure they can do it at a high level, but they can also share at a high level. That's the magic. When you start seeing the agents that you've coached, trained, and mentored start coaching, training, and mentoring other agents, that's where the fun is. That's exciting. So I'm super blessed to be able to be in that position.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard, I believe it was John Maxwell that said the best leaders know how to create leaders. Like
Mm.
that's basically what leadership is. You're creating leaders.
Yes,
And it sounds like,
absolutely.
yeah, it sounds like you're doing a good job of leading the real estate industry,
Well, I'm
Robert.
doing my best, I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, like, Robert, not only do I want to say congratulations, man, because I'm one of your biggest fans, dude. Like, I love watching this guy crush. He's out there on the road and getting listings, man, and putting them under contract and getting them closed and new listings every week. It's nuts, man. It's
Mhm.
beautiful to watch. And I think, again, coming full circle, this is what agents want. This is why we work so hard. This is why we're willing to, take no's and our egos get kicked in on a weekly basis. And if your ego isn't getting hurt, you're not trying hard enough. But we do these things because we want to have a business that supports the life that we want to experience. And we only get one. And Robert's actually living proof that you can do that. And not only so, first and foremost, thank you, congratulations, but then also thank you, because he's really willing to turn around and allow other people to leverage his exact same system, his efforts, his, figuring it out, and streamline their ability to create the same for their business. And I think that that's extremely admirable. The beauty about your coaching, Robert, is that you're in it in real time. So I've seen you know how to do a business diagnostic. People are like, well, Robert, I'm making all these calls but I'm not getting the appointments. Okay, you know where to dial it down to, like, tell me what you say here, right? And then you make the tweaks. Other people go on all these appointments and they're not getting the listings taken care of or signed. There again, you know how to hone in and go, okay, tell me what you're doing or saying here. And it's all these small adjustments that you're helping people make so that they can really have that efficient line from getting on the phone consistently, which that alone, Cameron said, well, wouldn't every agent want to do it? Every agent wants your success, but not every agent wants to work like you. And you're not killing yourself. Like you said, it's a very efficient business. And you're able to travel and all that, but you still put in work. And then when people see that, they're like, oh, I don't know. So that's one thing for agents. Everyone wants your success, but I think when people are willing to put in the work like you do, you make sure that they have that clear path to the results that you're getting.
Mm,
That's the fire.
Yeah. And you know what, Joseph, to that point, every Monday we host it's called Goals and Actuals. It's called Momentum Monday. And
mm,
what we do is we take a
Love it.
look under the hood. We find out you're making this many calls, but you're not getting any appointments. Well, we need to tweak your messaging, like you mentioned. You're getting all these appointments, but you're not getting listings. We need to tweak your messaging on your listing presentation. So if you track and measure your numbers, you'll know where you need help. Because the last thing we want to do is call 100 people with no success. So
Right.
many agents spend a lot of time on failure, but you got to fail forward. You got to, I mean, failures, and that's just part of the deal, but you got to fail forward. You need to be able to understand where you need your in-flight adjustments and your tweaking. And that's what I'm providing agents through my coaching, training, and mentoring. So we do goals and actuals, accountability, tracking and measuring our numbers on Mondays. Mondays at 7:30 Pacific. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
certainly share the link with you, Joseph, so you can share that with your organization. And then Wednesdays, we do it's everyone's welcome. If you want to hear more about the online offers platform, my story with what we're doing to take more listings, we have a more listings mastermind uh, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. And I'll also share that link with you, Joseph. And it's just anybody wants to talk about taking more listings, that's a great place to go. Whether you're using an online process now or not, I'm not selling anything. All I'm doing is sharing my story, sharing how I'm going out, taking listings and helping others do the same. And that's all I'm doing is sharing. And like Jeff Russell says, he's my sponsor and he's a absolutely a beast, good friend. And he goes, sharing is caring. And that
Yeah.
is what I lead by that my whole career. My favorite thing to do is coach, train, and mentor. Joseph, you talked about your happy place being on stage and in front
Mm-hmm.
of people. Mine too. I love coaching and helping. And the best part, the reward is seeing the light bulb go off, going, oh, I can do this. This is
Yep.
good. That's the reward, and that's why I do it.
nice. Robert, if so like we post this everywhere, like on our socials, like you see all of our stuff that we post. What's it called? If a real estate agent came across this video and they, absolutely loved it and they want to get in contact with you for some, for actually like learning more, where would you send them?
I would send them right to my email, and it's super simple. It's Robert at
Mm,
robertweichelt.com.
love it.
Schedule a one-on-one. If you want to grow your business to heights that you've never even imagined, let me show you what I'm doing. And again, I caution you, it's not for everyone. You got to put a little work in. You got to be able to handle a few no's here and there. But at the end of the day, real estate is a contact sport. Reach out to me. Let's do a one-on-one consultation at robertweichelt.com. And I'll certainly welcome a conversation because it's of all the things I do. I mean, I love talking to sellers. Don't get me wrong. But I love talking to agents because man, it just feels good because there's a lot of agents that call. I'm not doing as much business as I'd like. I'm having some money issues or whatever. We're all having some struggles if we don't get to work. I love when I get a chance to introduce something and then agent goes, "Ooh, wait, I can actually make money in this business." That, my friend, is what it's all about. Let's go do this. Let's go help some folks, not only sellers, but let's help agents grow. Let's build wealth in this business.
Mhm. Love it.
That's it. That's why I'm
Yeah.
so lucky to get to work with Robert Weichelt, man. This is one of my favorite coaches, one of my favorite partners in this industry. And, again, he's got that heart to love on people and help them develop. It's not just about Robert. I think one of the main reasons why you'll always continue to crush is that you need to stay sharp to show others how to get there. So I appreciate that about you, man. Thank you.
Mhm.
You know what, to
Love it.
that point, Joseph, I'm an EXP certified mentor. And the reason why I do it, a lot of people say, "Oh, don't do that." You know why I embrace the being an EXP mentor is because I get to help people that are brand new in the business and have no clue what's going on. And to your point, it keeps me fresh. It
Yep.
keeps me in the game. I don't want to be a guy that, well, back in the day, I used to do this. No, this is what I'm currently doing as soon as we hang up. Boom. And I want to be the guy that's in the trenches. I mean, I'm not probably prospecting as much as I should because I've been doing this a long time. I got a lot of people coming to me, but I still prospect. I still track and measure. I still do all the things that I'm sharing with agents. So I'm not a well, I read a book and now I'm going to go share it. I'm actually doing it today, and I'm doing it probably when we hang up this call. So I appreciate you saying that, because that means a lot. I'm actually an active participant helping agents grow their business.